MegaPodTastic.
Good morning, MegaPodlings. Crazy Joe here, and we have to talk about the DC Cinematic Universe. This week, we got a lot of news regarding the DC Cinematic Universe. So, where do we start? Well, first of all, as many of you probably know, Aquaman is now the highest grossing DC Comics superhero movie of all time. So the people who have been proclaiming the DC Cinematic Universe dead and screaming reboot it, that ain't gonna happen. Aquaman is a huge hit, and Wonder Woman, as we know, was a big hit. This universe is not going to be rebooted. It can't be rebooted. I keep saying it's unrebootable. Every time I hear someone say they got to reboot, I say no, it's not rebootable. It's totally unrebootable. What do I mean by that? When you have a shared universe, every character, because they're in a shared universe, impacts each other. In Justice League, these characters were all in Justice League together. So you can't reboot Superman without rebooting Wonder Woman, because the universe is shared. And they're not going to reboot Wonder Woman. They're not going to reboot Aquaman. So I always say reboots are a gimmick anyway. Reboots are just a gimmick. Just tell good stories. Just tell good stories. That's all you got to do. You tell a good story, you're gold. That's it. Doesn't have to be a reboot. So let's review what we've just learned. First of all, we find out that on May, all these new dates we've got here are from 2021, 2 years from now. May 21st, 2021. We are kicking off the summer of 2021 with an animated movie called the Super Pets, Legion of Super Pets. Obviously, this is going to be some children's fare, but it could be fun. Teen Titans Go to the Movies was hilarious. I don't know if you guys saw Teen Titans Go to the Movies, but it was great. So, yeah, Legion of Super Pets. It's not what I was clamoring for, but it could be fun. I'll check it out, probably. I got kids. Kids are going to want to see it. I'll probably get some enjoyment. I'll probably enjoy that more than most animated kids films that I'd have to take them to, because not all of them appeal to me. Especially my girls are into the Barbie movies. And aside from the fact that I didn't grow up a Barbie fan, they're just really not very good movies. But my girls love them. So if I could show them, if I can go watch something with them that I'll get, a bit of enjoyment out of, I appreciate that. So Legion of Super Pets, I'm in. What the heck? I'm in. But that's not the big news. Okay, first bit of big news we get. June 25th, 2021. 1 month after the Super Pets. And to those of you who don't know, the Super Pets are Krypto, Superman's dog Krypto, Ace the Bat Hound, Streaky the Super Cat, Comet the Super Horse, and Beppo the Super Monkey. Those are the Super Pets. So, there you go. June 25th, 2021, Matt Reeves' long-awaited solo Batman movie, The Batman, is coming. We're getting it June 25th, 2021. Now, the big news, Ben Affleck, it's, poop or get off the pot time. Ben Affleck has finally gotten off the pot. He's not going to be Batman anymore. Some sources are reporting that it's going to be a prequel about a younger Bruce Wayne, but not every source is reporting that. The only thing that everyone is on board with is that Matt Reeves is directing, it's June 25th, 2021, and Ben Affleck isn't involved. That's all we know for sure. Will Batman be younger? Probably, but that hasn't been officially confirmed. So this is good. This is good news. I'm very disappointed Ben Affleck's gone. Ben Affleck was a great Batman. He may be the best Batman we've ever had. I don't know. Michael Keaton's a good one, and Christian Bale was pretty good. We've had some good Batmen, but I think Ben Affleck might be the best. So it's disappointing to leave him. But when you have a guy who doesn't want to be there, and it's clear Ben Affleck has won it out, he doesn't want to be there, the best thing to do is to get rid of him. He doesn't want to be there. You can't force him to be. So I'm disappointed he's gone, but I think we're all ready to move on. We've known for about 2 years now that Affleck wanted out, so this is about time. So I'm excited for the Batman. Matt Reeves, great director. I love his Planet of the Apes movies. My God, his movie Let Me In. If you haven't seen Let Me In, tremendous movie. It's a remake of a Swedish film called Let the Right One In. And it doesn't matter which version of that story you watch. You could watch the Swedish Let the Right One In. You could watch Matt Reeves' Let Me In. Either way, you're in for a treat. They are fantastic. I think Matt Reeves actually improved upon the original. It's like the case of the Spanish Dracula. The Bela Lugosi Dracula, and then the Spanish language version shot on the same sets. Lugosi shot in the day, the Spanish crew would shoot at night. The Spanish crew would watch the dailies of what Lugosi and that crew did and try to improve upon it. And most people believe that the Spanish language version is the better of the two. And I kind of feel that's what Matt Reeves did with his Let Me In. He watched the Swedish version, which was superb. It's great. And I feel like he's like, as good as this is, if I tweak this, I can make it just a little bit better. And I think he made the better of the two movies. But my God, it's a razor's edge. They're both phenomenal. So I'm going on a rant here. But Matt Reeves, Let Me In, his Planet of the Apes sequels, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, War for the Planet of the Apes. This guy is great. So I got faith. I always say good filmmakers make good movies. That's how you know movies are going to be good. It's the filmmaker. And Matt Reeves doing Batman, I got faith. I'm excited. Can't wait to see who he casts. There were rumors Oscar Isaac, Poe Dameron from Star Wars, was interested. And I was like, you know what? I'm okay with that. He'd be good. I really like Poe Dameron. So, yeah, sure. And then the next bit of big news we got, James Gunn, we knew he was writing the sequel to Suicide Squad. That's not new news. We've known that. The news of the day that we've received is that James Gunn is actually directing Suicide Squad 2. Disney's foolish loss is DC's gain. Disney really dropped the ball by letting him go. But I'm glad that he's going to be doing Suicide Squad 2. And there's the title, okay, I don't like the title. The title is The Suicide Squad. That's the title. They added the word the. The original was Suicide Squad. The sequel is The Suicide Squad. I don't like when movies do that. I think I've talked about it before on this channel, but I'm not a fan of the sequel naming convention where you add or subtract the word the. In 2009, we get Wolverine. Was it 2011? Was that the sequel? 2011, we get The Wolverine. You added the word the Wolverine. I don't like it. The Fast and the Furious was part 1. Part 4 is Fast and Furious. You dropped the word the. And we've got The Predator, which is Predator 4 or Predator 6, depending on if you count the AVP movies. It's either Predator 4 or Predator 6. It really depends how you're counting. I don't like that. I think it's really stupid. Like, I mean, let's face it. Putting the number 2 at the end of a title, not the most original way to title a sequel. But I'll take the number 2 over this add or subtract of the. You know, the doesn't even count. It doesn't even count. When people alphabetize titles, they don't put things under T for the. Like if the movie's called The Suicide Squad and someone's doing alphabetical order, it would be Suicide Squad, comma, the. So it's like the word the is a disposable word. It's a word that's easily ignored. And I hate that naming convention. I really do. But what's important is the movie good? And it's James Gunn. So I'm confident the movie's going to be good. So Suicide Squad, The Suicide Squad. And I didn't complain about it for Batman. Batman is the Batman. But I didn't really complain about that because it's not a sequel. It's not like, well, we made Batman and here's part 2, The Batman. This is a reboot of Batman. It's a whole different thing. So it doesn't bother me that much with that one. But it's like when it's the sequel and it's like, here's part 1 and here's part 2. We added the word the. I don't like it. But Suicide Squad 2, I'm just going to call it Suicide Squad 2. Suicide Squad 2 is opening on August 6th, 2021. And the month of August is when the original Suicide Squad dominated the box office. By the way, let's not get into any revisionist history here. A lot of people will have you believe Suicide Squad was a failure because critics didn't like it. That's true. Critics did not like it. It did very, very poor with critics. Critics trashed that movie. But one thing we can never lose sight of, Suicide Squad was a monster hit at the box office. It did really, really well. It dominated the month of August at the U.S. box office in the year it came out, 2016. It was #1 at the box office 3 straight weeks. And we're still seeing the influence that movie had today. It's been 3 years, and Harley Quinn in the Daddy's Little Monster costume was still one of the top-selling Halloween costumes this past year, 3 years later. So this narrative that movie failed, that's a false narrative. This movie's a hit. And how do you know it's a hit? They're making a sequel. They're making a sequel now. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, these guys, Spider-Man, these guys are household names. They're really well known. They're always going to make Superman movies. They're always going to make Batman movies. They're always going to make Spider-Man movies. And if one underperforms or if one out and out flops, that's not going to be the end of Superman, Spider-Man, Batman movies, because those characters are just too well known. They're too in the psyche of the people. And they're going to come back. They're going to make another one. That is not the case with Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad, the fact that a Suicide Squad movie was one of the first films the DC Cinematic Universe made was kind of surprising, because I don't think the average person on the street knew who the Suicide Squad was. So if a Suicide Squad movie fails, you don't say, well, that's such a valuable IP. We got to do another one. That's just not the case with Suicide Squad. The reason James Gunn is doing a second Suicide Squad is because the first one performed really well at the box office. So don't let all the negative reviews about the movie, and I'm not saying it's a great movie. It's a deeply flawed movie, but don't let the negative reviews change the narrative into that film was a failure, because some people want to make it out that film was a failure, and it was not. So James Gunn, taking over from David Ayers, who did Suicide Squad 1. A lot of people are calling this a reboot or a restart to the franchise, and a lot of people don't know what that means. Let's be honest, none of us know what it means. He hasn't announced any casting yet. But I'm going to tell you what I think it means. James Gunn's going to want to come in with a semi-clean slate and do his own thing. He's not going to want to be a slave to what David Ayers did and what may or may not have worked. Because, you know, like we said, the critics did not like the first Suicide Squad at all. But the first Suicide Squad was a huge hit. So Warner Brothers is going to want the elements that made that first film a hit. They're going to want that. So it's going to be a case of what worked, what didn't work. How can James Gunn make this movie his own and still familiar? Now, this is all speculation on my part, but I think it just makes sense. My prediction for Suicide Squad is you're going to have mostly new characters, but I think we're going to see at least 3 carryovers from the original. Will Smith will be back as Deadshot. Margot Robbie will be back as Harley Quinn, because those two are essentially the face of the franchise. Like we said, Harley Quinn, the Harley Quinn Halloween Daddy's Little Monster costume is still selling crazy well. You go to like Dragon Con, you still see 1 million people wearing that Harley Quinn costume all over the place. That character was a breakout character, which is why Margot Robbie's doing the Birds of Prey movie right now. We didn't get another Superman movie. We got another Margot Robbie Harley Quinn movie. She resonated with people. So I'd be shocked if Will Smith and Margot Robbie are not in this. I also think Viola Davis will be back as Amanda Waller. Amanda Waller is sort of the one who put the Suicide Squad together. She's the one who sends them on their missions. I think we're going to see her retained. My prediction is Deadshot is going to have to put together a new squad made up of new villains. And I think it's going to be Deadshot, Harley, and a new team otherwise. And that's going to be whoever James Gunn wants. And since it's James Gunn, I'm predicting Sean Gunn, his brother. I'm predicting Michael Rooker, and I'm predicting Dave Bautista. And both Michael Rooker and Dave Bautista have already said on Twitter that they want in on this movie. So we'll see if I'm right. That's my prediction. Again, pure speculation on my part, but I think it makes sense. All right, so that is the future. Now, let's take a look at the DC Cinematic Universe as a whole, because this news is pretty exciting news. The Batman movie, Matt Reeves, Suicide Squad, James Gunn, that's exciting news right there. And I go online and I'm reading the comments on news stories about this. And people are still saying the DC movies suck. The DC Cinematic Universe is trash. Reboot the whole thing. It's garbage, blah, blah, blah. And I'm reading these comments and I'm thinking to myself, are you guys for real? I mean, yes, I get it if you said that in 2016, but today in 2019, you're going to say that? Because the DC Cinematic Universe of today, of January 2019, is not the DC Cinematic Universe of even just a year ago. Let's review. The DC Cinematic Universe started off in 2013 with Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. I still honestly believe that this is the worst film in the DC Cinematic Universe. I kind of hate this movie. I really do. I kind of hate it. There are so many problems with this movie. I could do a whole video on all the reasons I can't stand this movie. So the DC, and my view is more negative than a lot of people. A lot of people think it's okay. It was all right. I hate it. But anyway, the people who like it, there's no question that the movie was a disappointment. It didn't come out of the gate swinging in the way that the DC Cinematic Universe wanted. So we get our first follow-up a couple years later. Batman v Superman. This was we got Superman on that side. This is my Steelbook. This comes out in 2015. And, hang on a second. There we go. This comes out in 2015. And this one was not well received by critics. It was a monster hit opening weekend. Then it had a huge, huge fall off. People did not like this movie. Now, in 2015, I declared this my favorite movie of the year. I like this movie a lot, with caveats. The one thing I really, really hate about this movie, Superman. I think this is a big, epic movie. I think it's really well done. I think Batman is great in it. But Superman is, it's the same broody, depressed, non-Superman that we had from Man of Steel. So I liked this movie with caveats. The caveat being I still hated Superman. But it was the Superman we were introduced to here, so I wasn't, like, shocked. I'm like, okay, well, I kind of know what we're getting, so I guess I got to deal with that. I like the fact that Superman dies in this movie, because I thought, well, that is a really good way to reboot the character, a soft reboot, if you will. Kill him off, then you could resurrect him as the real Superman. Well, then we got summer 2016, Suicide Squad. We just talked about Suicide Squad. Big hit. The first real, legitimate, honest-to-God hit of the DC Cinematic Universe, because Man of Steel and Batman v Superman both had big opening weekends, but they both fell off due to poor word of mouth. This one, despite the critics hating it, it was a hit all summer long. People kept going. This movie just kept performing at the box office all summer, well, all the whole month of August. And it did really well, which is why right now, as we're speaking, they're shooting a spin-off movie of this called Birds of Prey, where Margot Robbie is back as Harley Quinn again. And like Superman didn't get, there's not a Man of Steel 2, but we got another movie with Margot Robbie. That tells you how this movie did. So I thought this one was okay. It's not great. It's got a lot of problems. But I think it's fun. I think it's just a fun movie, and I could overlook a lot of the problems because of how much fun I had. So let's review. I hated this. I liked this with caveats. And this I thought was kind of dumb, but fun. So that's where we are so far. Well, by this point, the media had declared the DC Cinematic Universe a complete and utter failure. And I get why. Despite the fact that I liked this, and I get it. I really do get it. Zack Snyder kicked the DC universe off with these two movies. And Zack Snyder, by his own admission, doesn't like Superman. You got the guy who doesn't like Superman to make Superman. How's that going to work out for you? So the DC Cinematic Universe is on shaky ground, and understandably so. But this is where we turn a corner. Boom. We get Wonder Woman. And it's the first one, well, David Ayers did Suicide Squad, but it's the first one of the Justice League characters, because Suicide Squad's kind of its own thing. It doesn't really tie into the Justice League. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, these are the core Justice League characters. So this is the first movie in the Justice League side of the DC Cinematic Universe that really works. And it's the first one of those movies that Zack Snyder doesn't direct. Patty Jenkins makes this. So this goes back to what I say, good filmmakers make good movies. And I do think Zack Snyder's a good filmmaker, but he was not right for Superman. You got a guy who wasn't right for Superman, he's not going to make good Superman. So this is the foundation of the DC Cinematic Universe right here. And it didn't work. It didn't work. So when Wonder Woman comes out, Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman, this movie works because Patty Jenkins and Wonder Woman were a good fit. So we get our second legitimate hit for the DC Cinematic Universe, but not only our second legitimate box office hit, our first critical hit. All right, that brings us to Justice League, which is my favorite film in the entire DC Cinematic Universe. I love this movie. But what happened by this movie? Zack Snyder starts shooting the movie, and he ends up walking. Was he fired? Did he leave of his own accord? There's differing stories. He had some personal family drama, great tragedy with his family, actually. That may have been why he left. That was the official reason. Joss Whedon, who I love. I'm a huge Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan. Joss Whedon takes over this movie. And this movie is great. It is great. Everything about this movie works. And, except maybe the villain. The villain's a little weak. But it feels like a Joss Whedon movie from start to finish. The dialogue, the way the action scenes are shot, everything about this movie feels like Joss Whedon. So he must have basically reshot the whole movie. That's the only thing I can come up with, because I can't see a single shot in this movie that I'd say that feels like Zack Snyder. Nothing in this movie feels like Zack Snyder. It all feels like Joss Whedon, and I think it works. But this movie is a huge bomb at the box office. Huge bomb. Now, it did very well on the website CinemaScore, which scores audience reactions. It did very well. Got an A. So that tells you that the audience that did go see the movie really liked it. It did well with the audience that went to see it, but more people didn't go see it. So the question is, why? And the answer is because it was a direct sequel to these two movies. This movie ends with the death of Superman, and this movie has the resurrection of Superman. This is like part 3 of a trilogy, which it really shouldn't have been. That's a shame that they had to tie Justice League to 2 weaker films, quite frankly, but that's where we are. So this is a great movie that I still don't think a lot of people know how good this movie is, because so many people skipped it. They didn't see it. They just didn't go. This movie works. This is Joss Whedon here, man. This is the guy that gave us Avengers. But it's a box office failure. So again, these two are really the only two that performed at the box office. And this is the only one that did well with critics. Until this year, this Christmas, Aquaman. The highest grossing film in this franchise, and the second one after Wonder Woman to get really positive reviews. So, and something else changed behind the scenes. Something else changed behind the scenes. After the failure of Justice League, Walter Hamada was brought in to be the new executive producer of the DC Cinematic Universe. Aquaman was the first film we got of the Hamada era, and Shazam is coming in April. That's the second film of the Hamada era. And I got to tell you, with the news that we've been getting out of the DC Cinematic Universe, James Gunn coming aboard and Matt Reeves coming aboard, these movies, the DC Cinematic Universe, is currently on fire. It is great. We are getting great stuff. You know, it started off on a really, really shaky footing. Yes, yes, yes. But Zack James Gunn. James Gunn, man. Matt Reeves. Patty Jenkins back with Wonder Woman 2. We're going to get James Wan. James Wan's such a good filmmaker. We're going to get a James Wan Aquaman 2. Shazam looks amazing. So when I see people still saying, well, the DC movies suck, I'm like, man, you are stuck in the past. The Snyder era is over. This Snyder era is done. We're in the Walter Hamada era now. A new producer doing with a new vision. It's all different now. And it's working. It's working, and the future looks exciting. I don't know how you can not be excited about the DC Cinematic Universe right now. I'm more excited about the DC Cinematic Universe than I am the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I think that's mainly because the Marvel Cinematic Universe feels like it's coming to a close. I mean, Avengers Endgame kind of brings a close to everything we've known. Some of these guys are still going to be around. Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, they're going to get more sequels. We'll get another Black Panther, but it feels like the Iron Man, Captain America, Thor era is over. It feels like Endgame, Avengers Endgame, is kind of the last hurrah for the Marvel Cinematic Universe we've come to know and love. So I feel like there's more. That's the wrong film to hold up when I'm talking about excitement. I feel like there's more excitement coming this way than the Marvel after Avengers. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure that they're still going to put out great movies. I'm just saying, in terms of where my excitement lies, it's more here now. And I'm not one of those DC versus Marvel guys. I like it all. A good story is a good story. That's what I want. So there we have it. Really exciting things ahead for the DC Cinematic Universe. I can't wait for the Batman. I can't wait for Suicide Squad 2. And just one last thing. They also announced an animated Batman Beyond movie, which I'm a little disappointed about, because if you've been paying attention to the internet recently, there's been a lot of talk about how Kevin Smith suggested on his Batman on Batman podcast that DC should make a live-action Batman Beyond with Michael Keaton returning as the old Bruce Wayne. Well, social media went nuts. Social media loved this idea. So I thought, well, that's like a no-brainer for DC right there. You could see the audience excitement behind it. And then they announced a Batman Beyond animated movie. Now, I like animated movies, but I think there would be a little more excitement if they went with Kevin Smith's idea and did the Michael Keaton as old Batman. So I have ranted and raved for about a half hour now about the DC Cinematic Universe. Maybe you can tell I'm a little excited. But that's all I got to say about it. Tell me what you think down below. Curious to hear. If you like what you're seeing, please consider becoming a patron on Patreon. You'll find the link down below, and we'd appreciate your support. And you'll get your name in the end credits. And please click the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. We'd really appreciate you to become a subscriber and ring that bell, get notifications. And we'll be back talking more movie news and more exciting movie talk in the coming days. Keep wearing those pajamas.
Keep wearing those pajamas with the plastic feet. Keep wearing those pajamas. Tell everyone you meet. Keep wearing those pajamas with the back door flap. Keep wearing those pajamas. Don't open, it's a trap. Oh no, it's a trap. Some people call them PJs, some people call them jammies. They can come embroidered with big money and no whammies. They can have 100 tiny commander pajamas, but no matter how they look, just keep on wearing those pajamas. Keep on wearing those pajamas. Keep wearing those pajamas. I know we're having fun. Keep wearing those pajamas. And now the song is done.